Hello and welcome everyone. This is part 2 of my story. These videos are not easy to make, so I really do appreciate all the support I've been getting. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I hope you're ready because I'm not. In my family, there's my dad, my mom, my older sister by 3.5 years, me, and my brother that's younger by 1.5 years. Both my parents were alcoholics. They both each had 2 different personalities, one loving personality and one violent, aggressive, toxic personality. Now, this isn't meant to be an excuse by any means, it's just meant to be an explanation. My parents considered what they did as legal. They did traditional spanking, but with a twist. They would take turns spanking. So what it would look like is whoever initiated the spanking would go first as hard as they possibly could for as long as they could, and then they would trade places with the other parent, and depending on how upset they were would decide how many times they switched. And the reason that this is not actually legal is because they left marks, there was bruising, there was redness. For spanking, it's meant to be like a 1, 2, 3. Instead, it was them taking their anger out on us. They could justify it for themselves that, oh, it's spanking. It's just a spanking. If you were to cry after a spanking, which obviously after that kind of spanking, or really any spanking in general, obviously a child is going to cry. If you were to cry after the spanking, a notorious saying was, keep crying and I'll give you something to cry about. Even though they just did. That literally was something to cry about. We were also punished for calling them mommy or daddy when they were angry. And then we were also on the opposite spectrum of that. If we called them sir or ma'am to be safe, then we were spanked because they were mommy and daddy to us. So it got really confusing. Mixed messages in there, and yeah. If you had an attitude on your face or a tone in your voice, no warning, no letting you know, hey, you're getting a little attitude in you. Nothing like that. It was just, they came at you. Lying, tattling, and general child misbehavior was also another reason for us to get spanked. My brother was only spanked 1 time. My sister was spanked a handful of times, but I was spanked daily. It was an everyday event. It was mostly because I had an issue with lying. I would lie because I was so scared of my parents spanking me. So if I did something wrong and they would ask me, did you do this thing? No. That was my automatic reaction. I mean, let's think about it, people. It's a survival skill. I'm just trying to keep myself safe. So yes, the answer was always no. Because of the treatment that I was getting, I had some rebellion in me. I started to get very, very rebellious. I would talk back. For instance, one time dinner was ready and my mom called us down, and I came downstairs and I saw it was fish sticks, and I told my mom, I was like, hey mom, can I make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? I don't like fish sticks. You love fish sticks. No, no, I don't like fish sticks. You love fish sticks. No, mommy, I'm so sorry, but I do not love fish sticks. Go to your fucking room. You will not eat anything until you eat these fish sticks. Then I will not be eating anything ever because I do not like fish sticks. Later down the line, my brother started to speak up for me as well. When he got older, he started to get in between me and either my mom or my dad. Like, he would put his back to me and just get in front of me and protect me, and he would yell at them outright. So, and he was kind of like the golden child. For the fact that he got that spanking that one time, we were all just kind of like, what is happening? So for him, whenever my brother would get in between me and them, I remember the first time it happened, it was for my mom, and he got in between us, and he had his clenched fists, and he was like, "Mommy, stop it." And my mom just looked at him, and she like looked over her shoulder at my dad, and they both shared a look, and they were like, "Dale, it's okay, everything's okay, just calm down, it's okay, honey." Very firm, he stayed there, and he was like, "Let her go." That was one of the better parts of this story, is when my brother started sticking up for me, and like I'm just standing there. The man has spoken. My mom was more lenient than my dad. However, that's not really saying much. She was still quick to anger, and she would taunt you when she was angry. If you wanted to leave the conversation to calm down, that was never an option. She would hold you there while laughing in your face. She would get in your face. She would say, "What are you gonna do about it? Are you angry? Are you angry? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Do you wanna hit me?" And I never laid hands on my mom or anything like that, but she would say things like that to try and get a reaction, because there did come a point when I got older that I just stopped showing them emotion, because it's almost like they wanted me to be upset. And once I caught on to that fact, I was just like, regardless, me and her had a better relationship. We would snuggle, watch Disney movies up until I was 16, when she died from cancer. My mom was there when I came home from school after a day of being bullied. She would tell me how beautiful I am and how amazing I am and everything that she loves about me, and that I just needed to wait. Then there was every morning before school, she would wake me up in the morning. She would open my door and say, "Lexi, it's time to wake up." And I wouldn't respond, and I'd just lift up the blankets, and she would climb under them and snuggle with me. And then sometimes I would ask her, I would tell her like, "Mommy, I don't feel good. I want to stay home. I don't feel good." And she'd say, "Oh, does that mean you're too sick to go jewelry shopping and clothes shopping?" And I'd say, "I think I can do that." We'd laugh, and we would have a girls' day. I had suicide on my mind when I was being bullied, but the only reason that I stuck around was because of her. Now, my dad had trouble with physical affection, or really in general affection. Even when he was in a good mood, he would be watching TV. 9 times out of 10, when you would go and tell him like, Dad, you won't believe what happened at school today," he would grab the remote and just up the volume while looking at you periodically. And just every time you said a word, and that's what it would look like until we went away. Other times we'd go to Six Flags as a family, and he was a total dad. He went on all the rides, and it was a lot of fun, and he never yelled at us, he never did anything. It was a good trip all the way around. Disney, you name it. There were 3 instances where it wasn't just spanking with my dad. First one, he grabbed my head and squeezed as hard as he could while shaking my head and screaming in my face, "Are you fucking listening to me?" The second time, he took my sister by the throat, threw her into the wall, lifted her up a bit by her throat, screamed in her face, "You're not gonna fucking tell me what the fuck to do," because she had asked, "Are you just gonna let her tattle on me?" in regards to me. Because again, back to the tattling was spanked for as well, so that's kind of what she was getting at, was like, "Are you just gonna let her tattle on me?" and he did not like her telling him what to do. But I'm giving you a little bit of background so you could understand how small of a thing could set this man off. Third instance was when he had forced me into my room. So I was 15 at this time, and this was when I was going through a time in my life where it was like, I was like, I'm not fucking listening to anybody. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. These are free. Here you go. If I'm not going to be happy in this house, nobody's going to be happy in this house. Let's rumble. My dad, I was at the top of the stairs down the hall from my room, and my dad had told me to go back to my room. And I was like, no. Go the fuck to your room. No. Escorted me to my room while squeezing my arms, and he pushed me down onto my bed, and I like walked my happy ass to the door with him, and he turned around, stay in your fucking room. And I took my little toe here, went over the line, and I said, boop. And he took me and he pushed me back onto the bed again, and his, again, famous line, stay in your fucking room. I walked back, I followed him to the door, and he closed it, slammed it shut, and I clicked the lock, and I went to my rolly chair, and I sat down across the room, batting my eyelashes while looking at the door. I knew exactly what was about to happen, and I waited. Next thing I know, he busts through the door like the Kool-Aid man. Stay in your fucking room! Don't you think that's gonna be kinda hard if you just busted through my door? It doesn't work anymore. How are you gonna keep me in here? I don't understand. Please understand, I do not condone this behavior by any means. Please do not replicate this behavior. This does not keep you safe. It did not keep me safe. However, I was in a place where I did not give a single fuck about myself or my well-being. It led to the point where my dad had enough with arguing with me and putting his hands on me, so he stopped when my mom had died. So I don't know if that was the reason for it or what. However, I do not want other people trying to do what I did in order to achieve my results. It may not go that route. More than likely it won't go that route. The fact that he didn't do anything to me in that moment was a shock. I was expecting some kind of big reaction, and I did not get it. I'm not sure why not. Keep in mind though, my mom was dying at this time, so there could have been some agreement that they had made between each other where they had decided not to put hands on us anymore, because I do remember distinctly another time where I was laying in bed. It was 6 o'clock at night and I was taking a nap, and my mom had called up from the bottom of the stairs to come do the dishes. I said, okay. And I accidentally went back to sleep, and then the next minute my dad came in. He took me and he threw me to the ground, and he said, get your ass out of bed. And my mom called up from the stairs, and she was like, blank, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because normally they were okay with that stuff, and my mom, sometimes very often she was the one, like the voice of reason for my dad, where if he got out of hand and she was present for it, she was the one to tell him like, hey, blank, we need to calm down. When my mom died of cancer, my dad ended up releasing the reins, and he had a conversation with me. He had told me, I don't care if you go out and use drugs. I don't care if you're out late. I don't care what you do anymore. I just want peace in my life. I don't want to argue anymore. Do whatever you want to do. And that was that. And you may hear that and go, oh, wow, what the fuck? He doesn't give a fuck. All I heard at the time was that he's not going to lay his hands on me anymore. So I was very, very happy about that. I didn't care about the extra stuff. Yeah, it kind of hurt for them, for him. It kind of hurt for him to paint me as I want to be an addict prior to me even being an addict. That definitely, I didn't care for that. Me and my dad, we have a really great relationship now after everything's been said and done. For a while, we were very, if something emotional was going on with me, I didn't talk to him about it. And it was very, I'd even come home crying and I would just walk right past him. He'd see me and he wouldn't say anything. However, when I got older and I got sober, that's when my dad really stepped up to the plate. I will say though that my dad has stepped up many, many, many times. So if I've ever been in danger or anything like that, I promise you my dad has showed up. And even times where I was like, hey dad, you don't need to show up, I'm fine, he still came and was like, I'll be there and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, here we go. He's been there to be rude to every single boyfriend he's ever met upon a handshake. Has always some kind of ridiculous line that seems like out of a movie to say to them. Like, I looked you up online and you almost have no digital footprint. Interesting. Just standing there like, is that how we say hello to people? I'm not quite understanding what's happening here. I didn't realize until way later like that this is a trend. He's just treating every guy who dates me like they are just not good enough for me. I do know my dad loves me. I see him every other week now. I live on my own. I can talk to that man about anything. That man even flew down to Texas to come and get me and drove me to here in Chicago to go to rehab. I can go on for days as to everything that he has done for me. It doesn't matter if you're me in this story. It doesn't matter if you're my dad or my mom in this story. I believe that you can change. Please remember, it's not something you can just wish away. You need to do something about it. You need to go to therapy. You need to get help. You need to do something. You can't do it on your own. And it's okay to have the feeling, have all that anger in you, okay? That's fine. I'm not the people that hurt me in my story, I take this to heart, okay? I don't look at them as like enemy number one, right? I'm looking at it as they had an issue, they had a problem, and they fixed that problem. My mom, she ended up getting better about 4 months prior to her dying was when, it was no hands-on kind of situation, and she stopped being verbally abusive, and she was just her. Until next time, guys. Bye.